Today, we're going to talk about the Aldelo Express split check feature. What we are going to talk about today is the split by seat. And with that, we give you a lot of options. The Aldelo Express has a lot of different ways to do this. First off, you can enter the order by seat. This allows you then to say, I've got a 4-top table. I've got 4 people sitting at that table, and you're going to order it by seat 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every table service restaurant who has a table has a pivot point, and that pivot point is where that order or that server is trained to take as seat 1. So that pivot point may be the corner of the seat or the corner of the table that nearest the door or nearest the kitchen. They have some routine that is set up to designate seat 1. And then you enter that order by seat. That then allows a simple 1-button split by seat. Just press 1 button, it splits them all by seat. That then leads you to a simple 1-button print by seat. Real simple to do. Once that's done, if they need to, they can combine those seats. So if you've made a split of a 4-top table, but yet there's only 2 couples, you can bring those back together and put those into 2 checks. So that's the most popular. That's the one that we tend to train on the most and try to get people to use is enter the order by seat, 1-button split by seat, 1-button print by seat, and combine back if necessary. The next option is enter the order, the entire order. Just enter it, all the items, not by seat, just enter the items. And then go back afterwards and adjust and put those into the right seat positions. That's really not the way to do it. That is absolutely a more difficult way to do the split, but it is possible to go back and designate each item to a particular seat position and then split by seat. Like I said, not the most popular, probably the least popular way to do it because it is a little more time and effort intensive. You could also split or enter the entire order and then split it evenly so that you can have a 4-top table, enter all the items, and at the end of that, just say, I'm going to cut this in half, 50-50. So you can split that evenly. Another way to enter the entire order and do a split is with a new feature. The latest feature that we've added with regard to split checks is manually split the order, split it by tile view, T-I-L-E-S, tile view. We'll show that here momentarily, but this is a feature which is touch. So you touch the item, touch this check, touch the item, and touch the other check. So it's a really quick way to split the check once you've entered the entire order and you did not enter it by seat. This is probably the most popular way to do it, either by tile or by check. The tile view gives you 9 different checks to split out, and then this way gives you 4. So you can have your choice of how you'd like to do it. So any questions about this before we move into the example on the iPad? Jeff, have I missed anything?
No, you've done fantastic.
Okay. All right, now we're back on my iPad and we're going to show this split check. So obviously you need to ring up, and we're going to ring up an order. And a whole bunch of items. Now I'm just doing enter the entire order by, not by seat, just entering the order. At this point, if I want to split this, I can go and touch the ellipsis button. Far left, it says split order. And now I get the tile view. So at this point, I can just touch the item and touch the tile, touch an item and touch the tile. And now I have 3 checks. The one on the left, the long check, that is your base check. And then the other 2 are split outs. If you're done, press the done button. You have your choice now to print those checks. I'm going to say no. And in doing so, I now have 3 guest checks, 3 splits of that. And now you have that little red button that allows you to see all 3 checks. So you can split them and then view them. And then when you touch the options button, you have options. What do you like to do? In this case, I'm going to recall that check. I can add to it if I wish, or tender that check out. And now the other 2 checks still remain open. The way you get to those is you go to your recall screen, and there are your two orders showing in your recall. Touch the one you want to recall. You can then close that one out, and you're finally left with 1 check still open. There it is. And close that one. That's how you split the check quickly after you've entered it in by seat. All right, any questions on that? All right, next up today, everybody likes secrets. They want to know the secrets of something. They want to know the hacks. They want to know how to do something that the normal average person doesn't know. We're taking some questions that we've received from the channel. And in doing so, we're going to show you some little known or secret features that obviously from the tech support side of the business, you guys really don't know that much. First up is holiday pay. Now, this is not to be confused with overtime. This is different. Holiday pay is different from overtime or double time. It is totally a separate issue. This is something that came up in the 4th quarter when people were getting, they'd like to get a higher pay rate for working on a certain holiday, Christmas, New Year's, whatever, holiday pay. In the system, multiple dates can be set as holidays. You're not defaulting to the standard holidays in the United States of maybe Christmas, New Year's, Father's Day, Mother's Day. You don't have those set dates. Any day of the year can be set as a holiday. And that's where you guys come in and setting these up. You work with the restaurant owner and determine what days of the year they would like to have as holiday pay. And then you simply enter those into the back office. You name it, and then you give it the date, but not the year. So if you were going to set up Christmas, you would label it Christmas and you would set it up as the day as 12/25, but no year. You would then enter all of the different holidays that this particular restaurant would like to observe and give extra pay. Once you've listed these out, you then can determine if they're going to be overtime or double time. Now, remember, overtime and double time is also programmable. Overtime doesn't have to be time and a half. It can be any other percentage you wish. Same thing for double time. It doesn't have to be twice the rate. It can be instead of 200%, it can be 250 or 300%, whatever percentage the restaurant wants to pay as their double time rate. So you select which rate you would like to apply to holiday pay, and then it's set and forget. System takes care of it right there. It's not, you don't have to mess with it ever again. It's just going to continue to ring up and pay those additional rates for those days and holidays that they're working. Okay, next up, print font sizes. Print font, not necessarily display fonts. So the printing font that comes up on the guest check, there's 19 print lines that you have options for with regard to your print size just on the guest check. There are a different set that is for the kitchen print receipt. Just on the print font, you have 19, and they go between normal, double height, or double width, or double height and width. And then you can have the triple height, triple width, and triple height and width. So that gives you a lot of options. Now, obviously, we don't want you to put everything is triple height and width because your receipt would be too long. But you do have the option to bring in and have emphasis put on certain items, certain lines, subtotal line, tax line, cash line, what, just different lines on that receipt can be given emphasis by making the print font larger. And then there's the display fonts. There is a setting called Show Expanded Item View. You set that to yes, and the button becomes a slightly bigger. So there is the ability then to, the way I came up with my demo is that I had the word cheeseburger and it said cheese, B-U-R-G-E, and the R was on the next line. I set this flag to yes, and now cheeseburger was on the same line. So that's what it will do for you. You might have some truncated words that need to be expanded. Click this to yes, and it will expand the button slightly. And then you can have your menu item that doesn't have a picture. You can then set the font size for that button. So menu item, non-pictured button font size. You have a choice of default, 1.5 times or 2 times. Also have same thing for modifier. Modifier non-picture gives you options for default 1.5 and 2 times. Okay. Any questions on that? Jeff, anything there on that?
We did have a question about the holiday pay. Specifically, what happens if either the business is closed or if the holiday changes days?
Well, if they're closed, they don't have anybody there. So
Yeah, so it doesn't apply, obviously, right?
So if Christmas is always on 12/25.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what day of the week, 12/25 is Christmas. So it's, you set it for that day, that date. And then whatever of the 7 days, it doesn't matter. And if they choose to open, anybody who clocks in will then get their overtime or double time, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And then what about days like, Thanksgiving lands on a different day every year, right? So if that happens to be one of those days that you've put into your system, well, of course, at the end of every year, they're just going to go through and change those days. They just edit them and change it to whatever the new day is as they go through their calendar. And then they set it. And as Jerry said, you forget it. You don't have to come back to it for a year.
Yep.
Make your life real easy.
Set and forget. I like those. Any other questions there, Jeff?
No, that's all of them.
All right. Well, the next one, anything on display font? We were anticipating questions here specifically about, do all printers support the different size fonts? Jeff, what's the answer to that?
So not all printers support different size fonts. Some printers are very specific and have a very limited range. So both fonts and font sizes sometimes are very limited by certain types of printers. So if you have, this is one reason we really like the Epson printers, is they do tend to have a wide range of font sizes that they support, and you can change the sizes and stuff, and it really reflects very nicely. But not all brands of printers do that. So it is one of those things that if you're curious about that, that's one of the things you'd want to go back and check with support. They'll be able to tell you exactly what each one supports and what it's going to look like.
All right. Anything else there before I move on, Jeff?
No, we're good, sir.
All right. Next thing up is, we've had fun with this one. The next up is some alternatives to Pizza Builder. As you well know, there is a feature in the setup for products where you can set up a very nice pizza builder that does flows through easily, where the operator will have the size choice, the crust choice, the sauce choice, and then toppings. They can do halves and thirds. So we got a pretty strong pizza builder. But what if you wanted to apply that software differently to meet the needs of a customer? What if that customer wasn't a pizza shop? Could you still use the pizza builder to satisfy that need? And the answer is absolutely, absolutely yes. And what it will do is it'll improve the stickiness of the software. If you can apply it in a very special and unique way, then your merchant, your customer, is going to be less likely to switch products on them. It depends on how you're using it and how you can apply it. So let's get some creative ideas here with regard to the pizza builder. First off, it's more than just a new name. It's absolutely much more flexible than you might imagine. We can actually change the name of the pizza builder. Right, I say that. You can change the name of the pizza builder. There is a flag option in the back. You can name this thing whatever you want to name it. Instead of pizza builder, you can name it to the use case that you're going to have. You also can change option names. Doesn't have to be crust size or sauce. It can be more tailored to what you're using it for. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. You can turn off and on halves and thirds. So in some of our cases here, you don't need that. If you're not doing pizzas, you don't need half. So what have we got here? Well, first up, we've done some installs recently in menu databases recently that had some unique uses for pizza builder. One of them was a burrito builder. And think about all the options you have when you're dealing with a really nice Mexican restaurant and they want to have a burrito builder where you can choose the size. You can choose, instead of the crust of a pizza, you can choose what kind of tortilla that you like. There's not only the flour and the corn, but you could have some herb type tortillas, very different tortillas. Think about the varieties you have there. Instead of sauces, you might have queso, salsa, plain. There's choices when you get into that sauce area. And of course, the toppings that go in that. Some people, we were laughing this morning about this, how some people take this as a challenge to see how big they can build that burrito and how many things they can stuff into that thing. Burrito builder. Think about your Mexican and Tex-Mex restaurants. Next up will be sandwich builder or maybe burger builder. That was one that we talked about as well, where you can have your sizes, 6-inch, whole. You can even do your flatbreads. Then choose the type of bread. You can get a wide variety of breads. And then they start putting in your cheeses next. So that will be the first page of your sandwich builder. Then you go into your toppings. How about omelet builder? This came up recently as well, where we're now building custom omelets using the pizza builder. Pancake builder. And then team favorite here is margarita builder. You have so many options that you could take this program and this particular module and adapt it to. It's phenomenal what you can get out of this. All right, any questions about these three topics? That would be holiday pay, print font, display fonts, and then the pizza builder being utilized for other apps, applications.
One that was in the chat, there's a limit to how many modifiers are, there are limits to how many modifiers there are in Pro. Is there a limit to the modifiers in Express?
Yes, but it's not based on factors you think. It's not based on the software factors. It's based on hardware limitations. So one of the problems is if you load, multiple line items, you're having to load those graphically, and there's a limitation to how much memory you have on an iPad or on an Android device, and that's going to be your limitation factor. So each button that you load is without a picture is about 8 bits. Each unit with pictures depends on the picture that you're using. And so you're going to use up the RAM or the available memory on that device, specifically in RAM. So far, I'm up over 100,000 and haven't reached a limit on my iPad mini that now Kelly has. but and that's like a 3rd generation iPad mini, so it's an older one. But there is theoretically a limit, but it would be whatever the RAM is on your device. So, yep. And then Doug was asking for a burrito builder, can you add extra sauce? Sure, you can have any modifiers you want. Just like on a pizza builder, you could have, extra cheese, no cheese, light cheese. Sure, you can do all that same stuff with the, by using that same technique to build burritos, coffee, margaritas, which we were all joking about this morning. But yeah, that pizza builder is massively flexible and can be used for a lot more than just pizza builder. We've seen it traversed over the many years, and absolutely you can change the charges between extra, no, light. Yep, they're just modifiers.
I love having Jeff on this call because he's so precise with the answers. When you ask, is there a limit? I just said your imagination, and he brings in the technical, precise answer, which is hard drive space or drive space or RAM space. But it's massive numbers. You would not want to have that many modifiers of anything. So
now there is a limit. Henry's looking at, can you have a limit on the tickets? Yes, there is a limit of how many modifiers you can have on a ticket. And tech support would need to look at what that is. I don't remember off the top of my head. But there is a maximum number of modifiers to a single line item.
I think it might be 48, Jeff.
Yeah, it might be. I know it's pretty high. It's Henry was saying 19, and unfortunately, I'm going to apologize to everybody for not knowing this one off the top of my head. I think it's much higher than 19, and it is much higher. It is 19 in Aldelo for Restaurants Pro Edition. There's lots of limitations in the Pro Edition software to how many you can have based on the database structure that is there. This does not have those limits. I think the limitation we put was because at some point you actually overrun the memory on the printer, which is why there's a limitation we put.
If you'll look on my screen where it says pizza setup alias name, I'm under store config, POS config, and then under the tab POS options and sizes. If you, whatever you put here as a description, burrito builder, margarita builder, whatever you put here, that then takes the place of pizza setup. That overrides that flag option. So then you become a burrito builder. Now here where it says pizza crust, it'll be tortilla flavor. Sauces, toppings, all these different options here change the name as you're ringing up on screen to be something different. So this is where you customize it to be burrito, margarita, pot pancake, whatever your imagination is. And of course, these two here, these flags are setting up to either have the halves or not. Do you have half a burrito? One half chicken, one half beef? No. So you turn those off. Simple as that. What other questions?
So unfortunately, nothing about this subject, Jerry. You've done a great job.
Yeah, well, it's a really fun thing when you start looking at some of the secrets that we have. It's just features that are sometimes you just don't know they're there. And that's what we're doing. We're just showing you things that are there to make your demos a little more interesting. So if you were to go in and start talking about, instead of having pizza builders, start talking about pancake builder to a breakfast place or omelet builder to a breakfast place, they're going to perk up and listen, because some of those things get pretty complex as far as how to order. And of course, it messes with the minds of the chefs in the back. How many different ways can you do an omelet? Well, here we go. Custom omelet, boom, 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 and it's done. It's really a lot simpler this way. Okay, that's what I got for today, guys.
Thank you, Jerry.
Anything else, Jeff, you got on your end?
No, I think we're good.
All right, all right. Well, we appreciate you coming by, guys. We do. This kind of training is good for you. This kind of training will make you a better salesperson, and it will make approaching restaurants a lot easier. If you know your product, you're going to be more confident to pull that door and address that restaurant owner and know that you can satisfy the needs of that restaurant pretty much no matter how complex a menu they have. Aldelo Express is a fully featured, mature product that can answer the questions and satisfy the needs of pretty much any restaurant there is. All right, well, we appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a great day.